welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another pen for review, and well, actually this is not another pen for review, it's a Flashback review. And this is one of my older pens that I have had in my collection now for almost 8 years. This is the Visconti Homo Sapiens, and it is the Florentine Hills. And you probably already know the backstory on this one, but I started in June 2016 collecting pens, and by November 2016 I bought a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog, and I wanted it in a medium nib. It didn't have a medium, there was only one left, and it was in a fine nib from Pure Pens in the UK, and I ordered it and I loved it so much because I knew that they already had the Florentine Hills in the medium nib. I decided I would get this in the medium nib the next day, and I did. I do have my initials on here, but I can put the Visconti magnetic finial back if I wanted to. But this pattern is a beautiful pattern. It is celluloid. The stripes in here are celluloid within, infused within resin, as I understand it. But it's a nice pen, and I really wanted a medium nib in the Visconti. I didn't want the retailer to swap it over, but when I found out how nice of a writer the London Fog was in a fine nib, I decided to get this in a medium nib. And it doesn't disappoint me. 8 years on, I still like it. The only thing I would say is Viscontis were a little bit more prone to having some of the enamel come off on that clip, and that did come off within a couple of years, unfortunately. I don't quite know where that enamel went. I really don't know. I don't think I chipped it in any way, and it's okay on that side, although there was always a little bit of a flaw in the O and the N there on Visconti, but I like it, and I really, really still like this pen. 888 of these were made. I've got a 23 cat palladium medium nib on there, and this is a super bouncy nib. And a lot of you will probably have heard the various quality control issues of Visconti, and a lot of it was really down to the 23 cat palladium nibs, where some people would get these very, very springy, bouncy nibs, and then what would happen is Visconti, I remember Dante Del Vecchio saying on a Zoom a couple of years ago, they had to go back to Bock, back to the drawing board, and reformulate these nibs because too many nibs were being sprung because people were flexing them. And palladium is worse than gold. That same with titanium as well, is that the memory effect will the nib will not go back, snap back. So you do have to be careful with these. And they went back to the drawing board with Bock, and they reformulated the nib, and it made it a lot more rigid. And people were then complaining that sometimes they were getting bouncy nibs and sometimes they were getting rigid nibs. But that was the reason behind it. And a lot of people still don't understand that to this very day, unfortunately. But I do like this nib a lot. It really is bouncy. It does railroad a little bit as well sometimes, and you might see that when I did a writing sample. But there are 888 of these made. It is a power vac. It's a double reservoir. You've got the hook safe lock mechanism here. The only thing I would say about this celluloid, same with the London Fog, is that the issue you have is once you ink up that body, it's very hard to see that beautiful pattern there, because most ink in a large capacity body will be more of a black color. So green on black, or like with the London Fog, blue on black, you're not going to see it as well. So that really is the downside to this, is that this pen looks beautiful as it is now, but it won't look half as good when it's inked up. And it's just the nature of it with demonstrators if you do have patterns on the body there. It does have the hook safe lock mechanism. I do like the Homo Sapiens because they have a slight concaveness here in the center of that section, and it just helps your fingers not slip down onto the nib and feed. I can post that cap if I want to. It is a bit long at that point, but I do find that the Homo Sapien range of pens, be it the Lava edition, be it the resin editions, are the ultimate size and weight for me. They really do feel good, and I really do like them. So from that perspective, this for me is really an ideal pen. I do like this a lot. That said, I do like the new 18 karat gold nibs. They are getting better from Visconti. Again, there were some quality issues there as well. I believe that they are still being made by Bock, although Visconti say that they are not. And I do believe that Visconti don't have the staff in-house to make the nibs, but they do have the staff to adjust the nibs and tune the nibs. And I think that is what is happening with Visconti. So I think it's a good thing. Honestly, too many manufacturers, nib manufacturers as well, do not tune or test their nibs. So I think it's a good thing if you have a company that is trying to tune and test the nibs. And I do think that is a good thing. So I'm glad that Visconti are doing that now. Or maybe they are making the nibs in-house. I just don't think... if you look at the Visconti Villa, you look at the sides of it, I just don't think they have the space to not only be making all the pens, making everything, the boxes, making the nibs, the feeds. I just don't think they've got that amount of space to be doing that. But I might be wrong. They might be outsourcing it. They might have people working in other locations doing it. It's certainly possible. But I think that's certainly my take on it anyway. So I think with that, let's do a comparison with other pens. So from left to right, we have a Visconti Empire. We have a Majon Titanium TI-136. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age Oversize in the Lava. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Florentine Hills. We have an Anoto University of Oxford. We have an Anoto Magna Classic in the Chased Amber Pearl. We have a Cyprus Eggshell 06, a Cyprus Eggshell 01, and a Cyprus Eggshell 05A. Now, I think let's now do a writing sample, but I'm not going to ink this pen up, and similarly like to the London Fog as well. I didn't ink that one up, fill it with ink. I just dipped the nib on this one. But I just want to show you, it's a Visconti Homo Sapiens, and it's the Florentine Hills, and it is a medium 23 cat palladium nib. Now this nib is a little bit more on the hard start skipping of baby's bottom, and that was another issue with some Visconti Bock nibs. The ink in here today is Diamine Meadow. Now you would find it more on the downstrokes when that would occur. Certainly more on smoother paper like Tomoe River, also Oxford Optic, Rhodia, that kind of paper. Now, in terms of line variation, you are definitely getting a Western medium out of this nib. I can push it and get a little bit more towards a broad. And you can see here that I can push that nib. And if I do more vertical lines, you're not seeing any hard starts or skips there, but sometimes you can get it because it does have a little bit of a baby's bottom. I've never really tried to address that. I probably could, but for me, I'm actually content with mostly how that nib writes. Now, in terms of ink wetness, let's take a look. you can see there that this is quite a wet nib. It really is more of a fire hose nib. You can see there. It really is a wet nib. And this is why I think I fell so hard with Visconti in the early days. And why I bought over 80 Viscontis. Because I like wet nibs. I like super wet nibs. I like fire hose nibs. And this is a fire hose nib. What do I like? What do I not like about the pen? Well, I obviously liked it enough to buy it the second day. Or actually, I bought the Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog one day. It arrived the next day. That same day that arrived, I then bought this. And then the following day, this arrived. So, yeah, you can see that I'd already been quite smitten with the Visconti, how they wrote. I guess what do I like? I like the pen. I like the pattern. I like the size, the weight, the concave section, the power vac, the double reservoir. What do I dislike about it? Well, I think as I'd mentioned that the enamel can sometimes flake off of those clips, and that one did on this occasion. I don't think I've had it on any other Viscontis. There might be maybe one more that occurred, but I think it was just this one. I guess that's probably the only thing I would say. Likewise, although the nib writes well, sometimes there is a little bit of hard skipping going on there on the downstrokes, but that was typical with Bock nibs. Generally, a lot of them were over polished and they would create a baby's bottom approach. But I love this pen, and I love it enough to buy it nearly 8 years ago, and it's still in my collection today, although I don't write with it as much as I should do, and I really do need to add it to my rotation. The issue with the London Fog and the Florentine Hills is that it holds 2.5 millilitres of ink, so it takes me quite a long time to empty that pen. The same with Opera Masters as well from Visconti. So I think that's why I don't fill those up as much as maybe a lot of my cartridge converter pens nowadays. So there you have it. That's my flashback review of the Visconti Homo Sapiens Florentine Hills in a medium 23 cat palladium nib. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.